Game on, everyone. Game's up, and we have Hawk going up against the Sini here, the WGL. Up to the top right. Sini starting as our Chinese Nightelf in blue, and down to the bottom of the map. We're currently seeing his opponent. Hawk had a pretty good game earlier, actually, against Focus, but then in the end lost the series with a 1-2. Finds himself now in a pretty difficult spot in the group. Very tough for him to get out. Nearly impossible, actually. Would have his opponents to screw up very heavily to make that work, but of course he still wants to move through with a victory here. Already using his peon to bait over the creeps towards the Ancient of Waters being built here, and building a scout farm his opponent's base. Sini actually reacting really well here. The Chinese player immediately trying to bait the attention of the creeps with his wisp a little bit farther to the left, so that's elevating some of the pressure from the Ancient of War itself. But this is already a bit of a nuisance. The scout farm it's pretty cheap to just build a farm anywhere on the map, and a lot of human players will do that to get access to mercenary camps, to I don't know, laboratories, like you name it, tavern for example as well. And in this case, building that in your opponent's base, you're basically just saying, okay, if you want to take that down, you have to invest a lot of time in the early game with your units, and you're probably not willing to do that. So as long as I have that farm here, I get access to information like when do you tech, what else do you produce, what's coming in terms of second hero. Doesn't really come as a surprise that we expect an Alchemist here after the Keeper. But you get a lot of scouting information, and for your opponent it's really difficult to get rid of that scouting farm without investing a fair amount of time. So for now, that's definitely worth it to Hawk, and we're already having that creep started as you would have expected. Nothing too insane happening on this end. Question for me is more so, how exactly is Hawk going to play this right now? So, given the map, normally what you see here in Amazonia, you are going to see the creep early on both of those camps. With the Archmage, you have access to it with the Militia as well, so that's making for a very strong creep pattern here. But the Ukrainian player, let's see what he's going to get in terms of items. Circle Mobility, good stats boost for him. And on the other side, for Sini, we are having... actually trying to get the last hit in here with the Footman too. Good move. I mean, he realized that there was on the other side that the Treants were the first skill. If you are up and against an Entangled, then the Footman is of course in danger of being taken out immediately. But he was even thinking about aiming for that last hit. Doesn't quite get it, but still. +9 attack already through the Mantle of Intelligence, and the Claws of Attack +6. Gets the Keeper now as well. So pretty decent start for him. Mantle of Intelligence 2 for the Archmage, so Circle of Mobility and a Mantle, increasing the mana pool a little bit, boosting the damage itself as well. And still, of course, here, that scout farm in the top. Tech has been started, Hawk is very well aware of that, and as we already predicted a bit earlier, builds another farm into the middle of the map right next to the tavern. So that means that if that farm isn't been taken out by the time he reaches Keep, he has an easy access to an Alchemist as the second hero for himself, and of course he sees if his Night Elf opponent at any point in time is trying to cross the map with a Keeper and tries to go for some harass with Entangle. And talking about that, already running straight into that. Nice water elemental deny here too. Keeper didn't get the experience, but now with Entangle in game, he actually wants to go for the Footman, and experience is denied again. Hawk playing well here, taking his own Footman out of the equation and making sure that there is no extra XP for the first hero on the side of the Night Elf player. Chinese player now trying to save his own archers while delivering at least one blow, and deny attempt this time. Failing a little bit. Another Entangle already hitting home, and that's a huge problem when you're playing against Night Elf in the early game. Entangle is such a powerful ability. It's going to get nerfed in the next patch, of course, a little bit. Another deny. Someone played a lot of Dota. So it actually works out pretty well for Hawk so far in terms of denying experience. He's nearly level 3. Biggest problem for... and another one. Like, dude, he is going bananas here. Still losing a lot of units, though. That's the biggest problem that we're having at this point in time. But as you can tell, and as I pointed out, you have more of an experience need for him by way more. And that Keeper is in a lot of trouble. That Keeper is actually going to go down. Yeah, he has to use his Town Portal for that. Uses the Town Portal, and there's the level 3 now also for the Archmage. Hawk absolutely destroying in the early game here, and gets rewarded with a second Circlet of Nobility. His own tech in the main base is nearly completed into Keep, and we now have the Blacksmith started. So again, the one base Rifleman strategy that we already saw in the previous games from Infi in the exact same matchup against Night Elf here. But definitely a great start so far for Hawk. outside of the fact that he still lost a fair amount of footmen, that he denied a lot of experience, and footmen are still rather cheap. 24 supply against 29, so a little bit of a difference here in favor of the Night Elf player, who is now focusing on the Sasquatch in level 5. Eager, of course, to finally get himself a couple of items, and he also needs to make sure that he gets some experience, because as we pointed out earlier, he is trailing behind quite a bit, by an entire level actually. And the Archmage finds another circle. +9 attack, a big boost to the hit point pool too. Archmage with 800 hit points here already, and that's actually looking really, really good for him. Now, of course, the quality of items that the two players are going to find here are going to become very, very important in the long run. But now even the attack towards the Fewist, great reaction by Sini though. Chinese player definitely paying attention here as the Alchemist as the second hero. And we have also an Alchemist now gotten by Sini himself. But this shop is very likely going to fall. So already a great move here, a little bit too late on the Wisps, trying to pull them in to repair it. And with the shop gone, access obviously now denied to the items. Another quick entangle. But Footman, I don't really want to say a dime a dozen. I mean, obviously it hurts losing Footman here, because it's still quite some gold that you invest in the long run and you give XP over. But still, that's a worthy trade that he just had there. Hawk is also going to lose the Water Elemental. It doesn't expire before it's being taken down here. But he sees now the Ancient of Laws as well, so he knows exactly what's coming. Again, you would expect certain strategies to come out in that particular matchup. We've already seen in previous series, not only today, but yesterday, also how you just spec oftentimes straight into the Mountain Giants. You're trying to add a couple of Dryads with it. We've seen approaches to also add a few Druids in the long run if it comes to the late game. But you still want to double check to make sure that your opponent is not going to hit you with some kind of special strategy or some secret tech that is going to surprise you and catch you off guard. We have a replenishment potion by now in the hands of the Alchemist. A little bit more creeping going on here from both sides. We're currently seeing the first few Riflemen and also Priests joining the fun for Hawk. And Sini, in terms of items, he has a potion of invulnerability actually by now. Still a couple of charges also on the Wand of Illusion that he could use later. But just to come back to those scout farms, it's still in play. So there's one archer that finally has been used to start taking that down. But as you can see right now, it takes quite a bit of time to really get rid of it. Getting rid of it, talking about that, one priest down. And that's always a nuisance when you lose the early casts in the game. Those are not really all that cheap, so that's another good kill that we just saw from Sini. Supply-wise, we have 39 supply against 33, so the human player has actually started to take a bit of a lead. Obviously, since we're going to see for Sini the attempt to go straight into Mountain Giants, he's currently saving quite a bit of money until his tech is through. And now the fight over the camp right here. So let's see if he can actually get the next level for his Alchemist in particular. Archmage nearly level 4, Keeper on 3. When it comes to hero experience, Sini has actually nearly caught up. And that's always, of course, nice. When you get the peasants in and you can try and, with militia, get a bit more access to one of those camps and just shift the balance in one of those fights, that's great. Nah, he steals the item away. Oh my god, that sucks for Hawk. He gets the creep, he gets the experience, and a Belt of Giant Strength is dropped, which is fantastic for the Alchemist, but then his own hero is getting body blocked, and we are having Sini steal the item away. And now you have one Alchemist with 1,000 hit points, thanks to all the circlets that the Archmage now passed over. But the Alchemist on level 2 here still with 950, thanks to the +6, and of course the damage output has also been increased. Really unfortunate for Hawk, a little bit annoying here. Experience-wise, he's in the better position. He has the level 4 on the Archmage now, but that, of course, was a bit of a blow to him. Is still willing to commit to the camp. Tries to lure the keeps out a little bit, and the Granite Golem on level 9, of course, is going to drop some sweet items, potentially. And we had actually, especially in the game with Infi, him lucky enough to get Alaria's Fruit of Accuracy several times, which was just insane considering the strategy that was being played here. If that's going to be the case on the side of Hawk, that's a different story now. But we're going to see the outcome or the end of that story in just a few seconds. Granite Golem goes down, and the Medallion of Courage for the item. Not really too bad. I mean, ideally, of course, you want to have some aura items here, but then if you talk about the Medallion, it fits the Alchemist, it fits the Archmage, you can pass that over, and the Alchemage has +13 damage at this point in time. So the strength boost for him is pretty sick. And he's sitting on level 3 at 1,250 HP. And that's, of course, pretty insane. Alchemist on the side of Sini is still on level 2, and he actually sold the Belt of Giant Strength. So he didn't keep it on the Alchemist. we're having now another belt found by him. So he finds the second belt of Giant Strength for him now. Below 1,000 hit points though, but the attack is on. 49 supply against 47. And he has a quick entangle and focus fire against Hawk. Again, that Alchemist has 1,200 hit points. Killing that beast is not going to be easy at all. Maybe not the best target for a focus fire this early in the game. Not sure you can pressure that. The heals are on. The priest still falls. The reinforcements coming through. But also the Night Elf player losing a fair amount of units here. And having his Mountain Giant surrounded. And I don't think there's a Staff of Preservation yet. There's no staff yet. That Mountain Giant is very likely to bite the dust now, and it's super annoying. He's trying to at least trade it for a couple of units. Heals are coming through again, level 4 on the Keeper, but losing a Mountain Giant this early in the game would be a nightmare for him. Sustain comes through, the taunt is in, but Sini is gonna lose it. He got a second Rifleman, but still a big trade here for Hawk. Alchemist on level 3 right now, got an upgrade in that last fight, but for the time being, we're still seeing the map presence of Hawk, who has started to take a lot more control and is now going from camp to make sure that he even adds more experience to his heroes. That Alchemist, by the way, is still an absolute monster, and now the Potion of Invulnerability is also in his inventory. If you focus that guy, you better be prepared for him just absolutely wrecking your army, or he's nearly unkillable. We're talking 1,375 hit points right now. A Potion of Invulnerability as well. And it's just crazy. This time the Battle of Giant Strength, he actually keeps it. The last one again, he sold. Must have been really starving for money. I'm a little bit surprised that he sold that, because having 2 belts of Giant Strength on that bad boy would put him up to 12 strength and put him into a really good position when it comes to just tankability, survivability in general. But now a bit of a push here, with once again just interrupting the reinforcements. This is really something that worked out for Sini extremely well. He killed so many units now already just because he flanked into the path and was able to get the reinforcements done. Now we're having the Mountain Giants already with the trees here starting to deal siege damage, but he can't really sustain that for too long. Archmage is under pressure, but he's level 5 too. Even the Tinker has a 3rd hero coming in now. And if you just look at Sini's Keeper, he's not looking too healthy either. Pocket Factory comes out in the back line here, and the damage with the Rifleman is on. But of course, Mountain Giants are so difficult to kill. But we talked about the damage output earlier. If you have a high-level Alchemist and you have Priests in the mix as well, ideally, of course, with a Master upgrade for the extra armor, then for the Inner Fire, then you are in a really, really difficult spot to dish out enough damage to really kill anything. And that's something that Sini has to deal with eventually. Tinker got staffed with the Staff of Sanctuary here, so it's got to get healed up. And we're having at the same time now Hawk on 50 supply, killed one of his peons to make sure that he doesn't go into the low upkeep. 50 supply as well for Sini, sitting at 1,700 wood. Like that shredder that he bought earlier is just doing so much work for him right now. And we're seeing an approach of Hawk with now Knights in the mix as well to go for another creep attempt here. The problem is that we have an attack in the main base, so he really has to make his mind up what he wants to do here, and he decides that it's worth to go straight for the creep. Should move the Archmage back, so he has all the experience on the Alchemist. That would very likely give him level 5 here, so if he does that, all the experience would go over. In terms of items, don't have anything yet. Attack is still on. That's the siege damage here against the barracks. No more knights for him if that falls. And yep, knight is down. What's the item? We're actually seeing the Hood of Cunning. And that intelligence for the Archmage. 5 isn't there yet. That's a bit of an issue. Sini saw that there was just nothing going on, that nobody was defending, so he already realized that there's probably another creep on, so he's trying to delay that a little bit more while his siege giants still do work. But with all the defense here, we're at least seeing the barracks for now still in play. That Tinker gets beaten up though. If you get clubbed over the head with one of those trees, then you know that you're in trouble. Then Tangle pops in too, but the Tinker should have survived for now, especially since he still has that Staff of Sanctuary on the side of the Archmage. He's on cooldown right now though, but he starts to really push this back, and there's the Inner Fire now that I've been talking about earlier. 58 supply now for Hawk, so he went straight into the low upkeep. Looking up to the top, we're seeing an expansion now being built for Sini, who's at 55, so low upkeep for both players. And here's still the pure Mountain Giant battle. And I'm still saying that there is a bit of an issue with the damage output right now on the side of Sini. Now, it's a big help that you have a Keeper of the Grove with Orb of Venom and him also with plus 14 attack by now, thanks to those Claws of Attack and the Mantle of Intelligence. But with the heals of the Alchemist, the Priests in the mix, and also the Inner Fire, it's tough to really get any kills here right now. And the expansion, of course, is not paying off yet either. That Tinker, though, is still being attacked here and has a really tough time walking to the back, getting body blocked the entire time here. Staff of Sanctuary saving it for now. Staff of Preservation could save the Mountain Giant here. Doesn't use it, though. It's not on cooldown, so it was definitely a missed opportunity of Sini to save the Mountain Giant, but he keeps it for the Alchemist, so he can save the second hero. But once again, Sini is forced back here. 53 supply against 64. Massive advantage for Hawk, and that's a cancel on a Tree of Life if I've ever seen one. No way he's going to let that through. He actually doesn't cancel it. He doesn't cancel the Tree of Life, and it gets destroyed. Definitely a misstep here on the side of Sini. That's even more money down the drain for him. He's sitting at 40 supply now, and Hawk is just running over him. Another Mountain Giant about to fall, and finally popping the level 5 upgrade into the hands of the Alchemist. And that bad boy is now sitting at nearly 1,500 hit points. So much damage of that unit alone. And Hawk is just walking over Sini, using him as a punching bag in game number 1 here. Sini with 46 supply, finally has a couple of Dryads in to try and at least dispel a few of the hit points here on the Water Elemental, but we are talking level 3 Water Elemental right now. Yeah, that Entangle doesn't do jack shit against an Alchemist that has a Potion of Invulnerability and more hit points than anything that I've ever seen in the previous games here. This is just absolutely brutal. Hawk is destroying right now, and Sini's Keeper is the latest target. He's getting focused down here. Finally a couple of Wisp Detonates to make sure that all those units don't have mana anymore, but things are looking very, very grim. Staffing the Alchemist back is just going to delay the inevitable here. 38 supply against 71. Good riddance to the Keeper. I mean, you can run, but you can't hide, and he's going to fall any second now. Down he goes, and that is game GG called as Sini leaves and Hawk takes the lead. Game number 2, everyone. Sini down to the bottom left on the map. Took a bit of a beating in game number 1 and is now behind in the best of 3 series. Hawk, the Ukrainian player, starting to the top right here, did pretty much what we've seen from Infi against Shishi already earlier that day. So heading into that combo with Rifleman push supported by spellcasters, primarily priests with Inner Fire, then in the late game a couple of knights even at the front, and relying on that Alchemist as the second hero to get the extra heal power through. And for Nightelf, it actually feels more and more that they're starting to struggle with that heavy focus on Mountain Giants, simply because they can't break through the sustain that a human player has. The early harass obviously already working out in Infi's favor. Definitely something where the game didn't start spectacularly well for Sini in the first place. But looking at Infi's style against Shishi earlier and now Sini, it really feels that on the Night Elf side you need to have a little bit more damage to really break through that human army once that it is established. And that is one of the big problems here. Do you have a way to break through the setup that the human is going to try and aim for? And that's so far something that Hawk was always able to achieve. We saw Infi with a very similar playstyle, my bad. And I really assume that we're going to see a very similar approach now, at least from the Ukrainian player up here to the top right in the second game too. And he of course aims for the 2-0 victory against Sini. It might not necessarily help him to get out of the group stage. He's already in a very, very bad spot and very likely he's not going to make it out of the group. But of course you still want to win the series here. We want to put on a good show for the viewers, and at the same time there's always the hope that your opponents in the group will screw up, will lose. There are going to be a couple of upsets, and all of a sudden through your own efforts you are in a position where you can make it out of the group eventually. I don't know what it is, but I always love when you just see someone move around and just like kill the critters here. As an undead, of course, it makes a lot of sense because you want to have the the cadaver for the Rod of Necromancy, but it's kind of nice to see that. As long as you don't slaughter the frogs, I'm absolutely with you. So again, the early creep here, going for the mercenary camp as well. Detonate attempt, yep, hits the water elemental and hits the archmage, so that's a 50 mana gone right away. Water elemental dies a little bit earlier, it's already a good scout. And you can tell that this time the keeper is going for the aggression right after creeping the first camp and going for the claws of attack +6. So very likely we're going to see, yep, there it is, first roll Shadow Priest already being bought, so we have the spell available right now and you can use that, but still the kill. And this time the experience was actually not denied by Hawk. He gets the level 2 a bit quicker, has the Belt of Giant Strength, can keep it for the Alchemist for the later stages of the game. But it's definitely very transparent that Sini is saying, okay, I have to change this up a little bit. The map obviously catering to that too, but that's already 2 peasants down and he's going to get a third one if he hits the next entangle. Actually, I think he can kill that just with like auto attacks alone. And yep, goes down. And let's see how much more he can accomplish right now, because he still has mana left. But you have with the harass, you have to be very careful that you do not lose too many hit points early on, or you will eventually have to move back with your keeper. You lose a lot of time. So he's moving in again, gets another entangle, but there's already the Forest Troll Shadow Priest trying to go for the dispel, and gets that in. Nice block here as well, denying the entrance to the base, and obviously Sini doesn't walk in here. If he moves in, it gets blocked, he's trapped and has to use the town portal, is gonna die. Great kill against the water elemental though. Circle of Mobility, still the item that Hawk gets for his efforts, but at least a bit more damage coming in from the keeper, and he has his level 2 by now as well. So a bit more aggression coming out of Sini in game number 2, and so far it's working out for him. He's doing well with that. But as we said before, if you're going up against a keeper that has more of a focus on Entangle compared to Treants as a level 1 ability, you want to get this spell. And that's where the Forest Troll Shadow Priest has already started to work out. Staff Teleportation being used here, and an attempt to just piss off the human a little bit, waking up the creeps, but already on the run. So looks like the Archmage Pleb horse is a little bit faster than the keeper in the setup, but the keeper escaping eventually. Another creep already set up for Sini as well. So like the idea is still, you want to try and harass the human as much as you can, take a couple of peasants down, a couple of units, heavily focus on that entangle, but you also want to make sure that you eventually start switching over again to creeping with your own hero so that you don't fall behind in experience too much. Hawk is really aggressive with his positioning though. He starts creeping, takes the item, and then he goes immediately for the harass. Has a level 3 now, not enough mana for water elemental, but he will have that soon. And here comes the attack on the focus fire, as we are seeing Sini trying to force him back here. Attack comes in, but the experience ends up in the hands of Sini, and he gets the item too. Ruined Bracers, fantastic item when you're up against an undead player. Pretty shit item when you're up against a human. Doesn't really do all that much for you, so that's very likely going to be sold by him. It's going to provide him with some extra gold, but that's going to be about it. Another Dispel here, relieving the Archmage of even more mana, but he's still looking to see if he can maybe take down the Ancient of War, and yep, nice move by Hawk. Really nice move, takes it down, and now a couple of entangles, just trying to make sure that he can't get the auto attacks in, but the Dispel from the Forest Troll Shadow Priest is there. A little bit surprised even that I could have seen Hawk also build another scout farm up here to have more access to the mercenary camp, but so far is pretty happy just sitting on that one Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Later on in the game, once that he has priests in the mix, it's not going to matter too much anyways, but for the time being, that guy is a massive, massive pain in the ass of Sini. And Sini is like so frustrated that he just finally starts committing to it completely and saying like, okay, I don't care, I'm going to take that thing down. Like, my entire arsenal in terms of spells is going to be denied by this. I need to deal with that now. And yeah, Forest Troll Shadow Priest is taken out. Finally, the Entangle gets a little bit of value, and he might be able to take one of the footmen down. Decent micro here as well on the Forest Troll Berserker, but here comes the second hero. That's where the Alchemist is in play again. Still has the Belt of Giant Strength and also the Circlet of Mobility. Takes down an Archer too. But we should see the items being passed over to the Alchemist now. Now, in an ideal world, you never really want to be at the front line with the Archmage in the first place, so usually if you can keep your positioning, the Archmage will be in the back, and it's going to be rough for your opponent to really attack it outside of him committing through your front line. So right now we're having Alchemist with a double Circlet of Mobility, Belt of Giant Strength. I'm not quite sure what to say, but we have already a little bit of a similar picture to the first game, where that bad boy with only level 2 is already looking tanky as hell. More units caught in the middle of the map here. In terms of supply, we have 28 for Sini, 33 now, and 41 for his opponent. Alchemist comes into the game as a second hero. So the same pattern from both players in terms of unit composition and hero comps that we've seen before. Nice body blocking here with the Footman. More free hits against the Keeper, who still is not level 3. So looking at experience, we're having Hawk again taking the lead here and doing fairly well with that. Creeping more, taking the Augur Mauler down, but here comes the fight now. Having the first Dryad is also fantastic. There's more Dispel available now with a Forest Troll Shadow Priest on the side of Sini, plus the Dryad. I don't think he has Abolish Magic just yet. I might just have finished it, if I've seen that correctly. So the Water Elemental can definitely provide some free experience if you move through with that. But let's see how exactly Sini plays this. 46 supply for Hawk. Main base doesn't really come as a surprise to see more priests being produced here. Lumber Mill now on the mix. The first priests on the way. So then you have your Dispel available to you as well. Good item on the Alchemist, even though he's still level 1. Having the Potion of Greater Healing is going to allow him quite a bit of sustain in those team fights as well. And we see more Dryads coming in now. So definitely a bit of a change up. Still heading into the Tree of Eternity and adding the first few Mountain Giants here. But at least getting a couple of Dryads, and with the Forest Troll Shadow Priest, as I said before, you have a good tool against the Water Elemental here in the long run. So that's already a bit of a mix-up that we're seeing from Sini that could definitely pay off for him. In terms of experience, he's level 3 and gets also the Healing Wards here. Bit more experience for him now as well, but you have a level 3 Alchemist already against you. Hawk just has, again, the superior creeping on the map. His creep route is excellent. He has disrupted his opponent's creep pattern wherever he could. Nice kill also on the Healing Ward, immediately coming through, but there's the Entangle, there's the damage, and that has to be a Town Portal. Great job here. We talked about hero positioning a bit earlier, and this is one of the best examples. The Archmage a little bit too far out, and therefore the Entangle was fantastic because it kept it in range of all the ranged units, and that forced the eventual Town Portal here. So a pretty cool move already on the side of Sini to make sure that he's not completely overrun in that early stage of the game. But Hawk is now taking straight to the castle. He wants to add a couple of knights in the long run, have access to Inner Fire. We're seeing him with the first attack upgrade for his Rifleman, and the creep pattern just continues. But we're having now the focus on the Augur Lord on level 7, and that's when you want to play item roulette. What is he going to get? Cloak of Flames. Now again, aura items in general are absolutely fantastic, but at the same time, we're having with the Cloak of Flames now a tool that is making that Alchemist a lot more dangerous, especially since it still has the Potion of Greater Healing. In terms of supply, Sini is sitting at 46 right now. He's a little bit starved for wood. Definitely a slight problem for him. Doesn't really have a lot of wisps here in play, if I'm right now. Getting the resistance skin. And at the same time, when we're looking over to his opponent, we're seeing 49 supply for Hawk. So both of them closing in on the 50. Still staying in the no upkeep though. Not crossing that just yet. Augur Lord is falling. And as an item, we have a Cloak of Flames. So both Alchemists with the same item here. And again, just look at that monster. Potion of Greater Healing also on Hawk's second hero. Circlet of Mobility, 2 of those, and a Belt of Giant Strength. Level 4 now for him, and he's sitting at 1,200 hit points with plus 10 damage with a Cloak of Flames. Like, he's an absolute monster. That guy is a beast if I've ever seen one. There's more attempts to go for the bigger camps right now. Gargantuan Sea Turtle on level 7 is the next goal for Sini. He knows that he has to catch up in experience. Like, he has been behind in Hero XP for quite some time now. Is finally about to hit that level 4 with his Keeper and has still the Gloves of Haste, the Orb of Venom, the extra damage adding up to plus 11 for him now on the auto attacks. In terms of damage, here also Gloves of Haste plus Claws 9 on the side of the Alchemist. But still, you look over to... I know which Alchemist I would want. There's another Circlet for him. He's sitting at 1,250 hit points on level 4. Has plus 12 right now. And yeah, that guy is just a monster. But by now, the map is actually starting to be starved for creeps. There are not really a lot of spots left where you can creep. Trian's over here still. Maybe trying to see if he can force another portal here. And yep, forces the town portal. It's going to try and move away from this without actually sacrificing anything. That mountain giant, a little bit slow though, but should be able to staff that out. Let me double check. Does he have a staff? No. No Staff of Preservation just yet for him. He's going to eventually get that though. But for now, let's see just how Sini plays it. He is at 57 supply. He has crossed over into the low upkeep. Hawk hasn't done that yet. Hawk is sitting at 49 and is so far relying on the +1 attack upgrade. He's forcing that back a little bit. And yeah, those two Alchemists with the Cloak of Flame on both sides, they are definitely going to be absolute key here. And the Alchemist for Hawk is brutal. He's crossing over in the low upkeep now as well. 52 supply for him. Gets the heal out once more. Let's just check the main base. He is currently going straight for the advanced lumber harvesting, and we should see him with the night upgrades. Yep, animal war training is already on the way. Tinker third, again for Hawk, trying to also use the Pocket Factory as an additional block for the Mountain Giant. I mean, in an ideal world, he would want to take that down. It's going to be a bit tricky, though. And we have already a +1 armor upgrade for the Mountain Giant as well. But you can already tell that the Alchemist here is not really doing too well on the side of Sini when you compare it to this opponent. He has by now been forced down into the no upkeep again, sitting at 48 supply, and is trying to creep one last spot on the map, which would definitely help him with experience to maybe get the level 4 with the Alchemist here. But in the main base, we still have the focus on the Mountain Giants, but here they come. Druids of the Claw coming in, the Adept training completed, so it's going to try and get, first of all, the Rejuvenation out there, and then second of all, a little bit more damage as well. So the Giant Sea Turtle is going to fall, and that should get the Alchemist close to level 4, or at least level 4. Okay, we have a Myrtle Bag Crawler here still available too. And yep, there he is. Nearly crossing that, and as an item, the Parry-Up of Vitality. Not really too shabby. Gets him at 1,075 hit points. Still not quite on the level of his opponent, but we're getting there. The one thing that I really still want to see from him is trying to get a Staff of Preservation for the Keeper. And he's already headed back to his base, so I think we're going to see that item in just a few seconds. 60 supply by now for Sini, and 60 supply also on his opponent's side, so both of them. Still +1 Rifleman, didn't really head into the +2 just yet. No big surprise in terms of items yet either for him. Did he add something on the Archmage? Ooh, Staff of Sanctuary, of course, is great, but a Wand of the Wind as well. And I don't think he has too many Dryads. There's only one, and the Forest Troll Shadow Priest died a bit earlier in the skirmish as well, so not a lot of dispel for him. Here comes immediately Roar being used, and that's a bit more damage now. And here come those Druids of the Claw as well. Level 4 on the Alchemist already, as we're seeing the Pocket Factory put on the ground here. Also, Rifleman with the Inner Fire. No Peons, no Wisps at this point in time. 0 Wisps to move in and dispel all of this and drain the castles of mana. Big mistake, in my opinion. Mountain Giants are still in a bit of trouble, but now he has more damage than in the previous game thanks to the Druids on the Raw, and he's trying to use that. We have the Staff of Preservation, we have the Orb of Venom, and he's using that already. The Tinker is really in trouble, gets body block too, and he's gonna fall. Nope, the Staff is still there. Staff of Sanctuary being used, and more Nines joining the fun now. 60 supply against 60, both of them, the exact same supply right now. That Druid needs to be very careful where it's headed. And here come a few more units on the side of Sini. He also has by now a Goblin Shredder that he could use as well. But I really am waiting for him to use a couple of Wisps to dispel here in the backline. Then again, he doesn't have any. There's only one Wisp sitting here. He doesn't have a lot of Wisps on wood because he bought that Goblin Shredder a bit earlier. Gives him a great army supply, but it makes it really difficult for him to drain those castles of mana, as we could see before. 60 supply still on the side of Sini against the 60 for his opponent. Hawk definitely struggling a little bit more right now that we're seeing finally a bit more damage on the side of the Night Elf player. The Druids of the Claw with Raw definitely working out quite nicely, but of course there is Dispel available through the Priests. Most of them pretty low on mana though, especially since they're providing the Inner Fire as well the entire time and have the job to go for the heals. No big items used just yet, but that might be the Potion of Greater Healing. Nope, Town Portal it is instead, and he is able to move out. But you can really tell that with the composition that we're having now for Sini, it's starting to work a little bit better for him. He has Roar available that increases the damage output. He has Rejuvenation. He has a couple of Druids that really help out here. So his position is starting to look a bit better than what we've seen in previous Human vs. Night Elves throughout the tournament. 95 supply for him, getting access to the shop here. Let's see what we get as items. Scroll of Healing being taken, whereas on his opponent's side, 64 supply right now for Hawk. Hawk himself, still with a +1 attack upgrade, didn't add any additional ones just yet. Gets a Cloak of Shadows here, so a little bit more money once that he starts selling that. And the counter-attack is already on the way. Still a little bit lower in supply, 59 for Sini, but he really wants to get the damage through. And the Keeper is about to hit level 5. Good items still for him. Double Scroll of Healing, by the way. He doesn't only rely on one, he has 2 by now. But also Hawk is expanding down here. Hawk trying to go for an expansion. And in the meantime, the fight is raging on. A nice Staff of Sanctuary, but straight to the front. So that Knight is going to fall regardless. A little bit unfortunate now for Hawk. He's trying to keep it alive, but he can't really. And here comes Sini. He wants to win this one. He wants to go into game number 3. And the Entangler coming through once more against the Knights at the front line. The Dispel is ready. More Inner Fire being cast by the Priest in the backline. Level 5 for the Keeper of the Group. 59 supply for the Night Elf. 60 on the side of our human player here. And both of those Alchemists, again, absolutely rocking it with Hawk leveling up his own second hero to 5 as we speak. And still the Alchemist Battle going on with those Mountain Giants just blocking all the damage. The spells are coming through. Treants in the backline. But all of a sudden, the units on the side of Sini are starting to drop more and more. And he has to retreat here. Alchemist has already been staffed back. Never even used the Scroll of Healing, by the way. And now we're just seeing him on the run. Sini is moving back again. 59 supply for him against the 66 that we're seeing on the side of Hawk. So he still has the superior numbers in terms of army. And his expansion is running as well. And currently, Sini just doesn't have a clue. He has absolutely no idea that this is happening. In terms of upgrades, we're seeing Sini now with 1 attack upgrade on the Mountain Giants, and he has the +2 armor upgrade already. But still, his Mountain Giants are low on hit points. He has those Rejuvenation Druids in that he can use for that. 58 supply for him right now. Getting the Ancient of Wonders was taken out earlier. But if he doesn't find that expansion soon, then Hawk is going to be in a much better position than he already is at. 68 supply for him. He has superior heroes here as well. Level 5 Alchemist. The Tinker is on level 2 by now. And he's still trying to see if there are maybe a couple of spots left on the map that he can creep. Archmage is on level 5. We still have a couple of items that are really great for the Night Elf now, though. But that bear, for example, yeah, that is a little bit suicidal. That guy doesn't even have any hit points. Does he get the staff? Nah, he's not moving back with anything. He's just trying to attack here, up at the top. Goes straight for the Altar of Kings. That's actually a good one. If he can take down some of the heroes, that would force the buyback on the Tavern. And, yeah, that one is going to be a goner. But can he win the fight? Pocket Factory comes out, and I doubt it a bit, but we're going to see. 77 supply against 54. Hawk has a fantastic army at this point in time. The Knight already being attacked. Again, the Entangler consistently against the Alchemist here. Roar is being cast too. And now we're having, again, the staffs being used, because right now Hawk just has way too much, and he is absolutely brutalizing this army. But the backline is open, and finally an access point for Sini's Alchemist. Hasn't used the Scroll of Healing yet either. That's going to help him a little bit. Uses it just before the town portal comes through to keep the army alive. But now Sini is getting beaten back over and over again, and is still none the wiser when it comes to information about the expansion that we're seeing for Hawk. Level 2.5 for the Tinker. The Archmage here with the Staff of Sanctuary, using that over and over again. And you look at that level 5 Alchemist for Hawk, and he still has the Potion of Greater Healing. At no point in time was he really threatened enough to have to use this. And the expansion is just running and running and running, and there is no info whatsoever for Sini. He needs to win it, and he needs to win it now. He's falling farther and farther behind. Has 2 upgrades now on his Mountain Giants, but the strategy so far is just not quite working out. He has massive problems with this, and thanks to the extra money, we're now seeing Hawk in a position where he can invest into Scrolls of Healings himself. That's exactly what he's doing right now. He's getting the Scroll of Healing here. We're having him also with, of course, a little bit free space on the inventory of the Goblin Tinker, and that's a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability plus a second healing scroll. Fantastic setup right now, with 80 supply already hit by Hawk. And 59 is all that Sini can throw into the field. Hawk is already in the lead. He has the 1-0. He wants the 2-0 victory, and he's likely to get it. Pocket Factory on the ground, and he retrained the Archmage as well. In comes the Blizzard into that backline, and this is looking bad for Sini. Down go the first few bears. He's trying to run. He can run, but he can't hide. The slow from the Sorceress is already making the retreat nearly impossible, as those Knights are charging in, taking down the Druids, and this is just a nightmare for the Night Elf. Down go 2 more. Well, did they go down? 1, 2, both of them low. He gets 1 Druid of the Claw, and the second one is about to fall as well. And the supply is just dropping for Sini. He's down to 44. Hawk is nearly doubling his opponent's supply right now, and this army is absolutely brutal. No upgrades except for the +1 attack upgrade for those riflemen, but it's definitely enough. We still have those scrolls of healing on the side of the human player. Finally, we're seeing over here the Keeper has found that there is actually expansion. The Wisp scouted, but the only thing that does, he knows that he's in even more trouble. Doesn't even have the Keeper for the defense here. He's trying to interrupt the money on the side of Hawk, but Hawk just doesn't care about that. He's like, your base is going to die. I'm going to take everything that you have. Going to take your lunch money as well while we're at it. And another Mountain Giant is falling. Level 3 for the Tinker. Triple hero now with great levels. The Alchemist hasn't even hit level 5 just yet on the Night Elf side. And this is a fantastic position for Hawk to be in. 37 supply for Sini already tells the tale here. 75 for his opponent. More than doubling the supply right now. And absolutely wrecking that base. That is game over for sure. It should be. Unless Hawk makes some massive mistakes right now. This is his game to lose. He's looking strong. That expansion might fall in the end, and there's of course no mining anymore in the main base of the human player either. But with low-level heroes compared to what we're seeing from Hawk, there is just barely a chance that Sini finds his way back into this. The Tree of Eternity is already about to fall. The Moonwells are about to be taken out as well, so there is no chance for him any longer. It's a bit of a base race scenario that we're currently seeing here. Double checking quickly for the town portal. Yep, there is actually one available, so you can always TP back. But in the meantime, we have, I was about to say, a Tree of Life being built over here, but it's only an Ancient of War. He's playing hide the base a little bit, but I do not think that there's a chance that we're not seeing a TP being used by Hawk eventually. And since he took out the Tree of Life, we are going to see that Ancient of War revealed eventually as well. So last structure here goes down, TP is on the way, and the only thing that the Night Elf can do is try and hightail it out of there. There's already the attempt to chase his opponent down, but things are definitely not looking good for Sini whatsoever. 70 supply for Hawk. Let's take a quick look at Sini. He's sitting at 27, and obviously by selling a few of his items, there is also a chance that Hawk can just simply build another expansion here if he really wants to. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Sini doesn't have out. It's over. He lost the game. Like, there is just no way for him to recover. Not with his opponent tripling his supply numbers, with the hero levels being so much higher right now as well. That Alchemist has never hit level 5. Look over to what we're seeing for Hawk here. The Archmage close to the level 6 ultimate. The same is true for the Alchemist too. A Tinker on level 3. The items alone are already fantastic. And now more and more of those Mountain Giants are falling. Sini still not tapping out. I mean, at this point in time, it's acting at BM, to be honest with you. There is one Ancient of War that we're having over here, but that one is going to be taken out eventually now as well. So right now, this is a little bit weird. I actually, like, yeah, he's going to lose everything here. It's just like trying to hide the base, but there's nothing in the long run that he really gets. 3,900 wood for the time being. But yeah, that should be it. Sini is being revealed now as well. We're having an invisible goblin just like checking out all the bases, trying to double check if there's maybe an expansion that he missed, but he didn't. So yeah, Sini is just trying to enjoy his time here a little bit. He's just ring around the rosy is what he's playing right now. He's just running around here, but now that Ancient of War, as it was revealed, is of course going to be attacked. And that's going to be the end of that. One last Wisp being chased down here too, but he doesn't have enough gold to put anything into play either. Well, and as I say, there's another Ancient of War being produced down here. I'm actually starting to really wonder what's happening here, if I'm missing something, but like this is just looking insanely BM at this point in time. There's a double Scout Tower being upgraded right now, and Hawk is starting to take down that Keeper as well. I mean, there's a little bit of slow going on, but another Ancient of War being built down here. Already the Goblin Tinker on the way. And yep, that should be the end of that story. I mean, Hawk still has a Potion of Greater Healing that he can pop whenever need be. And he's going to do that any second. In the meantime, the Tinker with the Goblin Factory is already attacking the Ancient of War. There's the GG finally, and Hawk takes the series with a 2-0 victory.